Welcome to the Choristers. Welcome to the Choristers Lounge. Welcome to the Choristers Lounge. Come on in and sit on down. Listen as we break it down. From hymns above to songs I knew, sharing the things important to you. Come on in and sit on down. Listen as we break it down. The Choristers at the Choristers Lounge.
Hello again, YouTube audience, and welcome to another episode of the Choristers Lounge. My name is Matthew Caldwell, and I am honored to be your host for this episode. I want to thank you all for continuing to be part of this journey that we're on with this wonderful podcast. Thank you all that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. We thank you just for spreading the good news and the glad tidings of joy. For those of you that have not taken the opportunity to do that, just want to ask you to encourage encourage you to do that, just because we want to formally, allow you to attach yourself to everything that we have going on here in this podcast. This second season, we're well into it, and the content that we're adding is really, I think, impactful and just really enjoyable. So just want to continue just to ask you to attach yourself in whatever formal way that you can. If you've been following us on the various social media platforms, we thank you for that. If you're listening to us on the various podcast mediums, whether that's Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you get your podcasts, just thank you for the support. This podcast does not happen without you. And on behalf of Brother Blake and myself, of course, Brother Blake is always here with us. He's the engine that makes this whole thing go. We just want to thank you for what you've done to allow us to gain this wonderful momentum that we have here in the lounge. So today, this is our first panel discussion, of season 2. You'll remember last year we did, I want to say, a few different panel discussions on different topics. We talked about preparation. We talked about musicianship. And this year we're going to kind of do some of those same things. This is just a way that we can get some best practices from some of our choristers who have been on the wall for a long time, haven't got tired yet, but we really want to lean into their experiences. So I am pleased to welcome, me. And he took a sip, as Eventually Large Harris says. We're pleased to welcome 4 choristers from around the kingdom whose experiences we're really going to lean into today. So I'm going to introduce each one of them. So we're going to start with district number 2, the North, hailing from Boston, Massachusetts, spiritually known as Bethlehem. I would like to welcome St. Jewell Simmons. All hail, St. Jewell.
All hail and thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. We're going to slide on down to district number 3, the Central. We have represented 2 individuals. First, we're going to welcome Brother Barry Thomas from Plainfield, New Jersey, spiritually known as Gilgal. All hail, Brother Barry.
All hail, Brother Matthew.
Is it well?
All is well. Is it well with thee?
All is well. Then we're going to slide on down to First Tabernacle, Bethel, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, spiritually known as Zion, where we find and welcome St. Jewell Madison. All hail, St. Jewell.
All hail.
Is it well with thee?
All is well with thee.
All is well.
Great.
Glad to have you. And then I made a quick trip from Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to slide all the way down to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we find Brother Andre Marshall. All hail, Brother Andre. Is it well?
All is well, Brother C. Matthew.
Yes, sir. So glad to have you. So,
Thank you.
First question for you all, and I'm actually going to start with you, Brother Andre, and this is our staple question here in the lounge. So when, where, and by whom were you appointed a chorister?
I was appointed a chorister in the year of our Lord 1992 by Evangelist Moses Farrar in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir. So 1992. I'm taking note of these years for a specific reason. I'm gonna get back to that here in a moment. So let's go back up to St. Jewell, Madison. Same question for you. When, where, and by whom were you appointed a chorister?
I was appointed a chorister in October of 2001 by the late Rabbi Curtis G. Caldwell, our local pastor in
Yes.
Zion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. So let's slide on up to Plainfield. Brother Barry, same question for you. When, where, and by whom were you appointed a chorister?
I was appointed in 2000, the year 2000, by the late Elder Isaiah Keeling Sr., but at the behest of then Elder Joseph Turner, who was in Plainfield at the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And last but not least, let's go back up to Bethlehem, St. Jewell Simmons. When, where, and by whom were you appointed a chorister?
So I was appointed a chorister on October 31st, 1992 by the late evangelist Frank Johnson.
Beautiful. So if my mathematics is correct, and I'm just adding up all the years of service that we have amongst you four, that gives me 115
Mm,
years of
mm,
service as a chorister amongst the four of you.
right.
That is over. That is over a century's worth of experience, Choristers Lounge family, which is why this group is uniquely qualified to give us some of their examples over the course of their journey. 115 years active service, right? 115 years. That is something to be commended amongst the four of you. So I'm going to kind of start this next question. I'm going to start with Brother Barry. Talk to me just a little bit about some of your influencers that kind of shaped your singer's journey and your chorister's journey. We're all going to have an opportunity to answer this question as well. But I just want to start with you, Brother Barry. Just name some of your influence. It could be, we certainly want to lean in on some of your local experiences primarily, but it can be on any level. Who are some of your influencers that shaped your chorister's journey?
Well, let's see. First and foremost, that would have to be my father, the late brother Silas Thomas. We drive an hour and 15 minutes to get to and from Plainfield each week because we live in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So we had a lot of time in the car. And you had my father, who was a bass, my mother, who was an alto, my sister, who was a soprano, and me,
A
who
whole
was
choir.
a whole choir. In my early days, I was a tenor until my other influencer was the late Elder Isaiah Keeling Sr., who is the one that told me I was no longer a tenor. I am a baritone.
Mm-hmm.
So after I finished crying, because baritone is hard,
But it's fun too,
the struggle is real. I was like, okay. So between the two of them, I mean, in Plainfield, my father used to have, he made up a songbook, a spiral or a 3-ring book
Mm-hmm.
that he had enough for all of us.
Wow.
With the songs in it from the original, one of the older songbooks that was printed by Evangelist Farrar.
Mm-hmm.
So Elder Keelan would have song services, and my father was, because many of us lived at a distance, we couldn't come back for Tuesday night choir rehearsals. So the Sabbath encompassed a lot for us, and so he would pick a song and he'd start it, and of course, you got your, oh, there he goes, oh gosh, and he'd sing that, and he'd sing the verses over and over and over until we got that. And that's how we did a lot. But so Elder Keeling, and of course everybody knows, well, I guess not everybody, but most people who ever knew Elder Isaiah Keeling Sr., who was a lead singer in the Keeling's Robbers, was a premier baritone and lead singer. And so that's where I got my foundation from. But you're probably going to be surprised by this. The next two. Brother C. Matthew Caldwell and Brother Jonathan Locke. When we were the Metropolitan District, they were our district choristers. And Brother Matthew and Brother Locke, were two of the most patient brothers I ever.
Oh, Lord.
And thank God for that. And I mean that in all sincerity. I'm not trying to be funny. I appreciate, because it was a struggle for me with baritone. And you guys were so patient about it, and never made me feel like, you old man, you should know this by now.
God bless.
So you two would be the next two that I would say that. But yeah.
God bless, Brother Barry. Yes, sir. Listen, you made it easy. I'll tell you that. And I can still pick out your voice. You have one of the most unique baritone voices, and I can certainly to this day pick out when you're in the building, because it's just a certain tone that you have that's absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that. So let's go to St. Jewell, Madison. Same question for you. Just name some of your influencers. As a singer, as a chorister, just who comes to mind.
Well, as far as influence, it started in the household for us. I come from a singing family, in attending worship services, we always were able to pick out our favorite voices, when we had the afternoon singing, and, some of the people that are, that we aspired to be like.
Yes.
Many of the singers in the Zion Tabernacle in our First Tabernacle, Philadelphia, they were seasoned singers, and there was a standard for that choir. So not everybody made the choir, but you had to. Rabbi Crowdy Sr., he St. Marguerite Bradfield was pretty much over the choir, even though we had male choristers. But when it came down to for the choir and people getting in the choir, Rabbi Crowdy Sr. would talk to St. Mark. He would have her prepare singers, I was put into the choir at the age of 12 years old. Because Rabbi Crowdy did not want the teenagers being idle, sitting in the congregation. But we had a strong nurturing. So as far as that, it started in our home, and then when we were put into the choir, we were put on the end of the choir. But we weren't put in we were put in according to the voice that St. Marguerite thought that fit us. So even though I later down the line, I went to the soprano side, I started out on the alto side as far as in learning the high baritone. St. Barbara Dickinson Davis was the low baritone, but we
Yes,
had
Lord.
St. Eleanor Holmes.
Yes.
Was a high baritone, and St. Mary Ward, she was a high baritone also,
Lord have mercy.
So there were quite a few singers on the soprano side. There was Sister Elder Priscilla Lawrence,
Yeah. Yeah.
where she didn't always start out. And finding out history, when I did a project on Federal Street, she started out as a high alto, and then she was moved to the soprano side. So we were placed in a choir according to, like I said, the way St. Mark felt that it best fit our voice.
Yes.
And from that, I was just inspired. I was in the male choristers. We had many male choristers in Zion Tabernacle, so all of them were an inspiration because they always were prepared. Robert Crowley, there was a certain standard for presenting, and I won't even say in presenting, but directing the music or bringing forth the music, the worship. And he would always say, this is all we can give God. So it wasn't a time for play, looking around, it wasn't a time, it was but it just came naturally because it was something that we rehearsed on Tuesday evenings, but Sabbath day, he could pick any chorister, male or female. And at the time, St. Marguerite Bradfield was the only female chorister in Philadelphia when I was coming along. But he would pick them and they would direct the choir. Most of the time, the male choristers did the music during the worship service, and during the choir march, I saw St. Mark lead often during the choir march and during the other music, the openings and stuff like that. But I don't know if I recall her leading during the worship service, certain things. That's just mine. And so she was an inspiration, because she had such a command of the choir. And I always felt that if I was appointed in the choir by this great lady, there was something that she saw within me.
Yes.
And then after that, my brother Reginald Farrar was a great inspiration because I worked with him in the group that we had, the Quaker City Chorus.
Yes, sir.
And he had such a discipline and he had such a love for the worship. I just would call him a spiritual praise warrior because it didn't matter with Brother Reginald. You didn't have to sing. That's on you. But he always gave God the best that he had, and I marveled that because he did not try to compare himself to anyone, but the gift God gave him, God allowed him to use that mightily, and the other inspiration is Saint Corinna Sturtevant.
Yes, Lord.
Because she was a female chorister. After Saint Mark had moved up to Canaan land, Saint Corinna was the head chorister in the Zion Tabernacle, and I was made a female chorister after her. So she taught me quite a few things, and it was her style, her demeanor, her discipline, her faithfulness, all of that. That was something that inspired me.
Beautiful.
Outside choristers, Brother Earl Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Earl Williams. I just when we would go to the gatherings, that was something that inspired me. When we would go to the gatherings, especially the Passover, and at the time, there were female choristers, but many of them were district choristers or assistant district choristers that were. There was a segment that those female choristers would lead the choir, and I had the opportunity to meet some wonderful choristers at that time. Some have gone on to glory.
Yes.
And just to name a few: St. Martha Cherry, St. St. Bradfield, St. Lucretia Donaldson.
Yes, indeed.
St. Tony Bird, St. Edna Akins, St. She from Greensboro. I'm trying to think of her
Rhoda
name.
Randolph.
St. Rhoda Randolph.
Yes,
St. Charlotte, and some still live in St. Charlotte Reddick Johnson,
Yes, yes,
St. Valerie Farrar Dews or Dews
yes,
Farrar, but they were inspirations, and all of them came in their own way. But something inspired me. St. Evadale Stewart, when they get up there, they had such a command, and I would just love, and they looked royal when they,
yes,
when they directed the choir. So they has always been an inspiration. And one of the things that I've learned, I try to be an inspiration and pass that on to someone else, because
yes,
and I'm going to call the person's name that's on this line. Well, two people. St. Jewell Simmons.
yes,
I marveled her when I was a young girl,
yeah, yeah.
because the way she stood, and the command of the choir, it just was a certain statement, as far as that I'm here to on behalf of God, and and I want you
Come
to
on now.
to
Yes.
come with me. I've never seen her slouch leading or anything, but it was a command of the choir, and that's people that
Witness.
I learned from had that kind of command of the choir. And
Witness.
you, Brother Matthew,
Oh, God
I
bless.
have to say, as far
God
as
bless.
you inspire me, because it's a combination of several choruses. I've never worshipped with Brother William Furr, Brother Bo Diddley, but my brother Reginald, when that choir inspires you, I can see that inspiration in you,
God
you
bless.
know, and I marvel over that, because I've seen my brother Reginald when the choir and the music, and his feet would start one
Lord
way,
have mercy.
but then I could see it almost 2 to 3 feet off the ground, and at times I could see when the spirit is high, and it's not even about a show; it's about that spirit of inspiration that comes into you,
Yes.
and that tells me that's a passion of yours. It's not,
Yes,
and
man.
when you have a passion for what you do, it shows all over you. So I want
God
to
bless.
commend you for that,
God
and I'll
bless.
stop right there, and thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much for that Saint
And
Jewel. Yes, yes, sir.
I forgot one person,
Yes, sir. Call the name. Call the roll.
the late brother Jake Bukow,
All right. Yes, brother Jake Bukout Senior.
Senior.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. So I'm going to slide on down to Charlotte, and then we're going to end this segment with St. Jewell Simmons. So, brother Andre, same question for you. Who are some of your influencers from singers and choristers?
Um, I had quite a few um, influences in my life, not only locally in Brooklyn, but district wide. There was a lot of people that influenced me and encouraged me to continue on in the realm of being a chorister.
Yes, sir.
Because it was some weeks when I was ready to quit, and they encouraged me, and I could just call a roll. Brother J.C. Carey,
Hmm.
brother Joseph Reddick,
Hmm.
brother Victor Brown,
Yeah.
Saint Martha Cherry,
Yes, indeed.
Saint Drusilla Wilson,
Yeah.
Yes,
and Saint Lisa Farrar. She was Farrar at that time.
Yeah.
Call the
You
roll.
know,
Tell the
um, you
story.
know, they were my influences in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But not only did I have choristers that influenced me, but there were singers that influenced me.
yes,
Like Saint Anna Dudley. She yelled at me during choir rehearsal. She said, "How you gonna be a How you gonna be a chorister without having a songbook?"
All right. All right.
And she bought me a songbook. She
Ah,
said,
you
"The
see
man that
that?
makes the songbooks is right here. Why you don't have a songbook?" And it was
So wait,
just
real
about
quick, brother Andre.
preparedness.
Real quick, brother Andre, just for the sake, and I think brother Barry mentioned this as well, just for the sake of our younger choristers.
Okay.
Um, brother Barry, you mentioned it, and brother Andre just kind of alluded to it. So the man that they're talking about is Evangelist Moses Farrar. I want to say
Yes.
from maybe like the 50s,
He's to the
60s, 80s, somewhere around. The
Yeah.
songbooks, there's like a little blue songbook. I think they were
Right.
initially green. Evangelist Moses Farrar got permission from,
Right.
I believe at the time it was
Right.
Elder Charles David Plummer, the Grand Band Master, of course, under the auspices of then Rabbi Howard Zebulon Plummer, to give us a hymnal. So
Yes.
Right.
Mr. Anna Dudley told Brother Andre, so in his formative years, Evangelist Farrar was still the pastor of Brooklyn. So the man that makes the
Right.
songbooks is right here. That's who we're talking about.
Right. Correct. And
Yes, sir.
Saint T. Lola Parker.
Ah,
Yeah.
I didn't have any white shoes.
Mm.
And she said, "How can you stand in front of the choir in black shoes?" And she bought me a pair of white shoes.
Lord have
And
mercy.
there was Saint Rebecca Haley.
Mm.
She taught me the song for the dedication of children.
Beautiful.
She saw that I didn't know it. And she said, "You don't know it? Okay." And during Sabbath school, she took me downstairs and taught me the song. And throughout the district, the metropolitan district, Brother James Roberts,
Yes, sir.
Brother Zephaniah McDonald,
Yes, sir.
Brother Joe Person,
Yeah.
Saint Naomi Cousins.
All right.
Now that's in Newark now, and then brother, he's elder now, but Brother Simon Quarterbaum as well.
Yes, sir.
He always gave me tapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in Plainfield was Brother Silas Thomas,
Yes, sir.
and in Mount Vernon it was Brother James Young.
Ah,
Yes.
In Hackensack it was Elder Ben Keelan.
Yep.
And then Saint Edna Akins, once a year, she would come to Brooklyn.
Sorry.
And so would Brother Earl Williams. He would come to Brooklyn. And you knew he was there because he would pull up in that cab, that DC cab, and park it right in the front of the tabernacle.
come on now.
Yes.
And he would say to me, because I would get the tabernacle at 8:30, he would be there at 7:45. He said, "I beat you there." And we always had that banter.
Yes,
And
sir.
others, like Brother Nate Hurd, and now I would say the Vulcan brothers, Brother David and Angelo Vulcans, they actually helped me get my first opportunity to direct tithes and offerings during the Passover.
Wow.
And Elder Stevenson was walking around choosing choristers, and I had just became a chorister, and Elder Stevenson was walking around, and Brother Angelo and Brother David was like, "Let this young boy go up there and direct." And he was like, at first he was like, "Nah, I don't want to do it." He was like, "Go ahead, let him do it." And I waited. I was the last one to direct. I had about 2 seconds, and I got the opportunity
Beautiful.
because of those brethren, and
Beautiful.
I love them ever since. But Saint Drusilla was the one who stayed on my back.
Yeah.
And she made sure, she's like, "You need to be on time, and your pitch was off today, and you need to this." She would pull me to the side, and she didn't take tea for the fever,
Yes, sir.
and but it helped me to learn in ways that I needed to be able to be able to be better.
Yes, sir.
And I was saying that a lot of my influences were choristers, but there were other choristers, other members who were not choristers that gave me inspiration.
Yes, sir.
Like Brother John Nahum Person,
Yeah.
Brother Mattathias Person,
Yeah.
and Brother David Medley, because he plays the piano. So
That's
he would
right.
always give me musical advice and all these things. So it was very helpful to help me advance in the choir.
Yes, sir.
Even Brother Andrew Nelson, and so many saints,
Sure. Yes, sir.
every every week somebody was walking up to me telling me, you need to, Brother Marshall, let me tell you what you did wrong today,
Yeah.
or let me help you,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
That's
those,
beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm going to give you some flowers here, brother Andre. Something that you helped me with, as a younger, up and coming, director. You encouraged me in a way that those encouraged you. Just in terms of how I was using the baton. I had a
mm,
habit and still have a bad habit of using the back of the baton as
Mhm.
opposed to the front of the baton, right? Holding it
hmm
backwards and things like you said, you lose your power that way. I don't know if you remember telling me that, but that's
I
something that
remember
always
that.
that's something that always stuck with me. So it's worth, in this moment where you're recalling some of the people that shaped you, and it's so beautiful that even though they may have been coming to you saying something that you were doing wrong, they always left you with a solution, right?
They
You
always
didn't
did.
have the black shoes, they bought you the black shoes, right?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing where it was not to demean you, it was to make you the best version of yourself, and that's absolutely. So
Correct.
I have to thank you in this moment for that bit of information that you imparted to me that I still remember to this day. Still remember that to
Well,
this day.
thanks,
Brother
Saint
Andre
Martha, because she told me that.
Yes, sir.
Brother Andre is modest because he hasn't mentioned his premier direction in the tabernacle when
Yes.
when Rabbi Levi, he was a kid when
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Levi called him up to
Oh
direct.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The two jewels, I'm sure y'all remember, he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who brought attention to the leader, but somebody did. And the leader called him up and had him direct in front of the
That's true.
congregation as a kid in at the tabernacle.
Amen.
Mhm.
See,
That's
this
true.
is what I'm talking. See, this is what I love. This
Mhm.
is what I love. That's what I'm talking
Now,
about.
Barry, you making me feel old now. You making me feel like an old
Yeah,
man
but you
now.
were a kid. You're not old because you were a little kid. That was what was so special about it. Is you were a kid, and you talk about
You
commanding the
did it.
choir. You
Mm-hmm.
commanded the choir that day.
As the late Rabbi Caldwell would say, you stood and you delivered, even as
Yes.
a young man. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Thank you, brother Barry.
I'll never forget that. I don't remember the song because I'm 1,000 years old, but I remember the occasion.
Beautiful, beautiful. We're gonna have to see if we can find some clips of that. Find some clips of that. All right. So as we kind of wrap up this first segment, Saint Jewell Simmons gonna come your way. So who are some of your influencers? Choristers, singers, just anyone that comes to mind as far as your influencers.
Okay, so I actually was pondering this question prior to coming on, so I actually took a few notes.
Yes, ma'am.
I will start by saying I loved the Boston Choir.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So, I mean, there are and the people that I had pulled out in this regard are choristers. But I will say that the spirit, the energy, the power,
Yes.
that Boston Choir,
Mm-hmm.
it just did it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
And it really got me to really want to be a singer
Mm-hmm.
and a chorister.
Yes, yes.
So and I will say about being a chorister, I think I probably was about 5 years old, and Elder Edwards put me in front of the choir.
Mm.
And I remember like mocking my grandmother, or mimicking her, I should say,
Yes, yes.
because she used to direct Son of Man, and she
Mm-hmm.
would walk with that choir. And I remember doing that. Like that was my introduction
Yes.
into the choir. So, of course, I was still in the congregation, but that was one of my things that I did. So, but the people I will start with are probably people that most people have not heard of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One I would say is Brother Judah O'Neill.
All right.
Mm.
He was over the choir, and I think until I was like in my 20s when he passed. But he was so patient.
Mm.
He was so kind, and he trained each singer. I remember him, you know, trying to find out what our range was, where
Yes.
we belonged. and he never made anybody feel ashamed. And one of the things he said, I remember him telling the singers, in general, he said, "I can't give you what you don't have,
Mm-hmm.
but I will get the best out of you."
Mm.
Mm.
That's exactly what he did. Now, he did not necessarily attend Passovers and stuff, but in the local tabernacle,
Yes.
he was there, he was present. He trained us in terms of the music, in terms of learning. That was his job,
Yes.
and he did it very well.
Yes.
And then, of course, everybody, well, most people don't say Edna Akins,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
and she's known for being kind of stern and strict.
She's nice.
But what I will also say, she set the standard.
Mm-hmm.
There was a discipline that she had. I mean, she was in her seat every service 15 minutes before at the latest,
Yes, ma'am.
in uniform. And that was every beginning of the Sabbath, every Sabbath day, choir rehearsals. She didn't mess
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't miss.
Yes.
And so she kept us, like, she kept our feet to the fire. And so when I think about that kind of influence, like, she demonstrated the importance of what it meant to be a chorister and to be a singer. And she was so proud of Austin. She was actually, St. Laura White was her aunt, and she
Okay.
was raised by her. And so she always talked about the learning that she got at her feet.
Mm-hmm.
And she made sure, again, that she was very adamant about, like, this is not playtime. And we
Yes.
were very silly people, but she was like, this is not playtime. She didn't laugh with us. We laughed, but she did.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that she wasn't pleasant, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But it was like, that was where she stood, and that was it for her. Um, and I will say again, I'll name my grandmother again, but also Dolores Eves. She was the young chorister in Boston when I
Yes.
was growing up. And I remember watching her, and she could sing that soprano. And she had such a, between her and my grandmother, they had this flair.
Yeah.
When they got in front of the choir, it was like, it wasn't show off, but
Mm-mm.
it was, they handled the business.
Yes. Yes.
And so those were two that I remember just like being mesmerized by.
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh my God." So, like I said, when I would do my directing, I was like, those are the people that I'm gonna try to direct like, you
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
Um, but again, it was just, it was such a loving environment. It was so easy back then as well. And so I will also say, excuse me, back then we had primarily female choristers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is prior to the ceremony as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so sitting in the floor, it used to be St. Edna, Dolores, my grandmother, and later on it was your grandmother, St. Viola.
Yes, ma'am.
But we were all out, I mean, they were all out there together.
Yeah.
And they all took turns. That's how the Sabbath was, because we were there all day, we sang
Yeah.
all day. So, but I would also say another influence is Brother Victor.
Yes.
He taught me about kindness and patience.
Yeah.
And he was always kind and patient when he was teaching me about kindness and patience. Because I will not lie, I am not the most patient person. You know what I mean? Not intentionally cruel
Sure.
or kind, but he really brought that to me.
Yeah.
He also taught me some humility, and I'll tell you why. So at one point, I was the head soprano, but I used to come strolling in church any old time I felt like it, and I would just move everybody down. And I guess he had had enough. And so he said, okay, from here on in, you'll be the last soprano. If you want to be head, you're going to have to work your way back up. I was like, oh my goodness. But it taught me a lesson You know what I'm saying? Because I just took it for granted
Mm-hmm.
that that's who I was. That's you know what I mean? And again, and I never thought of myself as egotistical, but perhaps I was a little bit much more than I thought. But again, like that was a lesson that he taught me. But again, those influences, like I mean, they were serious.
Yeah.
And if you messed up, they let you know, but they also showed you what to do.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. We laughed, we fussed, they laughed and fussed with each other. You know better than that. You don't sing that song like that. You know what I mean? And that was primarily the Armstrongs with each other.
Sure.
But it was a beautiful, beautiful core group of people.
Yes.
And at that time, we had the Starlight Juniors, and that was myself and my sister Cecilia Eves, Jackie, and I believe, was there anybody else? We might have been the four.
Okay.
I think there's a fifth. I just can't remember. But nevertheless, like again, singing was just our thing. So like I said, those were influences. One of the other things I will also say is, you know, now we used to travel. I mean, and as I got older too, we would go to Providence. And I will tell you, Luke Fears,
Yes.
Ronnie Thomas,
Yes.
not to be denied, they were some of the best. And like I'm saying, these may be names that people don't necessarily know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brother Luke and Brother Ronnie, they were districts,
Yes.
you know, but obviously many years gone by since then. And then the last couple of things I will say is, um, you know, when I talk about the whole choir, like I'm talking about like the Althea Niles, Rachel Rogers, Marie East, Ellen Matney, Hannah Brown, and Hannah Brown gave my sister and myself our first crowns when we got
Beautiful.
to the choir
Yes.
as teenagers. I mean, but it was just that whole slew. My mother was included in it. I mean, they were rocking on the alto, they were rocking on the soprano, and it's like people would just get up, they would sing their solos. We had the bass section, Tim section, you know, and there were some people who obviously you have just standouts, but it was a choir. That's what I think I love so much about them. And then, you know, and I think about, you know, when my mother, she ended up with asthma, and Althea ended up with having some heart problems, and that both of their healths were challenged. You would never know it on the,
Yes.
you know, my mother ended up being the head soprano, and Althea, when she couldn't sing soprano anymore, she ended up being the head alto.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, just
mm.
putting in the work, putting in the work. And then the final thing I will say is, and this is just crazy to me. So I think I saw St. Lucretia direct the choir, obviously. But people will always tell me, like I remind them of her.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say in any shape or form that that was ever a thought of mine. So when you talk about how spirit works and
That's
spirit
it.
speaks
That's
and
it.
it continues to move on, I would just have to say that I've been blessed
Yes.
with that gift.
Yes.
But I think it's also been an accumulation of all the blessings that I received at the, you know, from male and female, Brother James O'Neill. Like I'm telling you, we had just, so the influences just
Yes.
run all through the Boston Tabernacle.
That
And
is beautiful.
not to dismiss any of the generals, because there were many and beautiful, but everything about me is Boston.
Amen. And listen,
Saint 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 Jewel, could you give your grandmother's name?
Oh, St. Carrie Jones.
St. Carrie Jones.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that, because my sister Valerie Deuce Farrar always says, as far as when I direct the choir, she said, I
Yes,
remind her of St.
yes,
Carrie Jones. And
yes.
it's good to know, as far as like you said, as far as
Mm-hmm,
how the spirit works, you know.
mm-hmm,
I never met her in the flesh,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
but hearing about her, you know, and hearing of great works about
mm-hmm.
her, you know, I count it as an honor. So thank you.
And I will also say Saint Hattie and Saint Kathy said the same thing to me about you. They said you remind them of my grandmother.
All right, so that was beautiful. So as you can see, YouTube audience, the experiences that we have here just amongst this group is rich and it's vast. And I've always been of the impression that our most influential people in our journey are the people that we see in our local tabernacles week in and week out. Because they really show us what it means to do whatever job it is that we're looking to do, or those offices that really keep a tabernacle going, is to be in your seat at the appointed time whenever the doors are open, right? So just having the opportunity just to call back some of those names is absolutely beautiful. So what we're going to do with this group, we're going to have to bring them back so that we can really talk a little bit more about best practices and maybe some of the ways that those influencers really kind of shaped our practices and how we are able to perform our duties here in the various roles that we have. So fret not, this is just part one of a two-part series that we're going to have with this group. So when the time comes, we're looking forward to welcome you again the next time we open our doors to just continue this conversation. So until that time comes, God bless and keep you is my prayer.
Important to you. Come on in and sit on down. Listen as we break it down. Go.